Surprise, motherfucker.
Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World for a special instant match reaction, late night live, just to talk about some stuff. Because we made a pledge that we do 7 days a week content. So, Wednesday games always change the schedule a little bit. Look, it's not going to be a long one. I purposely don't do the post-match reactions because I can't bite my tongue. Kayak, welcome to being a new member. Thank you for joining, mate. Preston were dire. They are really bad. So what does that tell you about Cardiff? Because Cardiff that was absolutely shambolic, and I think that might have been the worst performance of the season, even worse than the Leeds game, possibly. Like, that was piss poor. The only players who I thought were any good was Robertson. Bagan was okay. I thought Riamoto did okay. El Ghazi did all right when he came off the bench. And O'Dowda, tried. The rest of them was a shower of shit. NG's got to be dropped. And I get that means playing a youngster, but he's got to do something. Omar Rhys now has he's got a job till the summer. He's got to make the big calls. And I thought NG, I thought Chambers, I thought Gutas, I thought all three of them were absolutely dire tonight. I thought Matty, probably not cupping his ears this evening, was really poor. Robinson wasn't great. No one was great, let's be honest. But if I'm Fish and Darland, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, if I'm not playing on Saturday, I'm going to be asking questions. If that means he's got to switch to three at the back, and use the youngsters as wing backs, or one of them as a wing back, that's what he's got to do. He's got to make the big calls, because very few of those players deserve to retain their place in the 11 on Saturday. Very few of them. Well, I just mentioned him. Even Alnwick, who's been so reliable, I thought was really poor. And it's just we're so slow. Everything in that, for the whole game, but particularly in the first half, we just let teams settle in, get hold of the ball, get their shape. We don't do anything. We didn't make a tackle till the 65th minute. And that was the only thing which Joe Rawls did, by the way, which didn't involve giving the ball away or mistiming a tackle or heavy touch. He was very poor. And I don't know whether he found it difficult to find the rhythm of the game or what, but it was a very un-Rawls-like performance in terms of what he did with the ball. And I thought Preston were awful. And so let's talk about it very quickly, right? I'm going to jump around a bit because I'm not going to do it for long. And I'm trying to just not go off on a complete random just rant. I don't really want to be that guy, which is why I don't do the post-match ones, but I like to give myself 24 hours to calm down a bit, right? But tactically, the way Rhys was set up in the first few games, right, when he was doing, he had that good start, apart from the whole game, it was very much high wingers, high press, aggressive, really positive on the ball. I can't imagine that he's gone from that to being happy with what he saw tonight in the first half. Moving the ball slow and being passive in the press, no width, and just really sluggish and really lazy with the passing as well. Very lots of like passes which are 2 yards to the side. Jesus Christ, you're only passing sideways across your back four. I just thought that they can't be happy with that tactically, you'd think. But it's difficult to tell, because would we have tried to move the ball quicker and been a bit more aggressive anyway in the second half? But they score so early in the second half that we kind of have to. But just so sloppy with the ball. And the only one who's will get no criticism whatsoever from me is Rhys. He's exempt from it, because what is he supposed to do with that shower shit around him? Like Ruben Caldwell looks lost without Ollie Tanner in the side. Ollie Tanner's had a knock for a while, so he probably was due a break. But I can't have this bullshit now of ex-players not ready, or he's too young, or he's this. Fuck that. Like, you could have put out the 21s, and you cannot tell me they'd have been any worse than what we just saw. Because what we witnessed tonight was absolutely appalling. I thought it was disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. So Alex Robertson was decent. No more than that. Like, he was all right. Chambers that was a bad game for him. And I think, look, with Chambers, can you go, right, he's been pretty decent, so it's just a bad game. But he wasn't that great the other day when he came back in after being injured. So that's something which we maybe have to monitor. But, I think Rinamoto deserved to keep his place. El Ghazi. I thought El Ghazi done all right, and I thought O'Dowd had done all right. But honestly, did we need 3 defenders on the bench tonight? Really? Is there no young wingers or young forwards or young creative midfielders in the 23s that we can have on the bench? Well, I know there is. So it's weird. Evan says his 11 for Stoke would be Alnwick, Bagan, Darlin, Gutas, Kepakiao, Rolls, Rinamoto, Mafiko, El Ghazi, Calmo Dowder, and Reindorf. Yeah, it's shocking. I know it's easy to say, we're all a bit emotional and frustrated and stuff, yeah. But tell me now, right, on Saturday, legitimately now, we'll try and take the emotion out of it. Which people out of the 11 that started today, which players retain their place in the starting 11 on Saturday? I get Omar Rhys is learning on the job, and I think he's done a decent job under terrible circumstances so far. And I said the other day that all these players have come out and saying, give Omar the job. Oh, he's great. It's great playing for him. Give him the job. Well, they're giving him the job now. So now those same players have got to go and play for him. And I didn't see that tonight. I didn't see players who were playing for the shirt, the badge, the fans. And it's very negative and toxic. I get that. But at the start of the game, I don't understand why we start so slow in home games. Home games, just fucking put a couple of tackles in, move the ball quickly, bit of movement off the ball. The fans are into it and they're away. And the other team is not settled, because the other team, we always let opponents just settle. Just give them 20 minutes. Just knock the ball around nice and slow. Very, very poor. Very, very poor. And disappointing. Let's have a look what you're saying about who would be ready. Evan says, no more of this he's not ready attitude. Play the youngsters Saturday. Make those players compete for their places. We have enough talent. We just aren't using it. It's difficult to disagree, mate. I thought he made, against Coventry, he made some changes and he made some big calls. He dropped Ruben and he dropped some others. He's got to do that again. The message to that squad has to be that tonight was not good enough in any way. And it has to be that. That cannot be just brushed off as we go against that. That was unacceptable. So that he has to make changes on Saturday to make a point to those players. That is unacceptable. Baker Boy says, O'Dowda and Rinamoto. Rhys says, Rinamoto was our best player, only one who was busting it to get back. Mate, there was one thing, right? In the second half, Joe Rawls took a throw in. We were on the attack, just inside their half. Joe Rawls tries to take a quick throw in, throws it directly to the Preston player. They break, and he walks up. He's just walking back. He fucking gave the ball away from a throw in, and he'd been on 10 minutes. And he's walking back, jogging. Fucking just lack of desire from the team as a whole was, like James says there, and this is why I don't do these shows, by the way. He says it's not about ripping up the team, but finding the right balance. Rhys seems out of his depth to me, apart from a good couple of games. It's been poor. It's been worryingly poor recently, mate. But like, I do stand by what I said about 5 minutes ago, that like if the 23s had played that game tonight, I don't think we could have been any worse than what we were. And I get you can't just chuck them all in, and like it's not realistic, is it? Phil Jones says, O'Dowda, Rinamoto, Robertson, thought the rest were a shower of poo. Difficult. So this is something I wanted to talk about. I'm going to do a video on it, actually. I think early next week. ATEC says, Ruben's been a different player since the Wales camp. Lost. Now, we talked about it a little bit on the Wales podcast, but it was clear that Bellamy was trying to get a tune out. He's trying to get a reaction out of Ruben by some of the things he said, like in the press conferences. He was trying to get like a reaction out of him, but then he didn't give him any minutes. So he's looking for that reaction to come in a Cardiff shirt. But is it having the opposite effect, where it's actually made his thinking become a bit muddled, and he hasn't, like, I agree with you, he hasn't been the same since the Wales camp. So it's going to be interesting. I do think, to a certain extent, like the lack of movement in front of him today was fucking unreal. Like, Matty stood still. First half, O'Dowda was stood still a lot on that one side. He did start getting going. Robinson was very static, and it's like if you've got no one moving off the ball, like it's just, and it's always slow, backwards, slow. We let teams reset and get back into position, get their shape back, and then you're playing against two banks of four, and it's just very, very difficult. Bluebird 101 says, surely Darland's got to play over Chambers on the weekend. Well, mate, honestly, if I'm Jesper Darland and Fish on Saturday, and I'm not playing on Saturday, I'm going to be knocking on the manager's door asking questions, because I think Gulas has had a wicked season. I think he's been one of the few shining lights of this season in that squad. And I thought he was poor. I thought Chambers were poor. And I thought NG was poor. But my thing with NG is he's got no competition. So he knows he's going to play. He's never going to get dropped. Never gets taken off. So even if it's like a subconscious thing, he's comfortable. They've got to find a way to, they've got to find a way to give him a challenge. If that means Rinamoto plays at right back, then maybe that's what you've got to do. But they've got to find a way, because at the moment, his form is not good enough. And it's difficult when your team is playing poor to get yourself going. Suze says, if we don't make a statement to these players with changes, my cat's invading. If we don't make a statement with these players, needed to keep O'Dowda and Rinamoto. I think you have to, as a manager, he has to make it clear that tonight was unacceptable. If that's the hairdryer treatment after the game today, and additional training tomorrow or whatever, get him in tomorrow running, whatever it may be, or if that's dropping a few of them on the weekend. It's like the problem I guess what you've got is we haven't got an unlimited amount of players unless he wants to play the youngsters, to drop players. Like, you could drop the centre backs. You've got Fish and Darland. Okay, you got Jamaru Collins. Although I didn't think Bacon was as bad as some of the others. Rinamoto could play right back, I suppose, and you could bring Psyopis in. But the lack of effort and just the lack of urgency to move the ball, like, I don't understand it. And some people will say, oh, the new manager bounce is gone. But a lot of those players in that 11 tonight are the same players who 2-3 weeks ago are in the press telling us how much they love playing for Rhys. They didn't play for him again tonight, and it's not the first time. So he has to make that big call now. Which ones are not putting it in? Which ones are not having the right mentality in the games? And which ones are making mistakes? Which ones are switching off? Which ones are not following instructions? And he has to call them out. Whether that means you drop him, you give him a bollocking, whatever it's got to be. But he has to do that now. He's the manager. He's the manager till the summer. It's his call. So he has to do something with it. Gareth says, I think the upturn in form under Rhys at the start was more about a reaction to how much the players didn't want to play for Bullet. Rhys is so obviously not the answer. Well, I'll tell you something, Gareth, right? He ain't the answer without any support with in terms of like coaching staff. We have got a skeleton crew of coaching staff, and I think that's a problem. But I don't think that was the problem tonight. I don't think it's like, to a certain extent, it's always on the manager, isn't it? But like, I don't think the problem was the lack of coaches tonight, or I don't even think the problem was necessarily the tactics, other than the speed at which we move the ball and the press in. Because I would expect, if that's an issue, they would be telling them to do it quicker and press and whatever. So there, you could say that. I thought it was lack of desire. Like, too many players tonight did not play for that badge. Too many. You cannot carry one or two, let alone the other way around. So instead of carrying one or two who aren't putting it in, we actually had the reverse, where we had one or two who were really putting it in and trying, and then the rest were somewhere else, mentally, physically, whatever, like somewhere else. We just let teams settle. Paul says Joe Raw's got a 5th booking, missing the next game. No, it's not. My cat's name is not Basuma. It's Uma. U-M-A. We just give teams so much time, and especially at home, I'll never understand it. I thought the referee was pretty poor, but I mean, that's no excuse. As soon as you say we missing Turnbull, yeah, we do miss Turnbull because his first thought is to pass forward. But it's like we still got enough good players, or we should have. I did the EFL debate podcast on Monday, and they said, "Oh, you're in a relegation battle." And I said, "I still don't think we'll be in a relegation battle." But then I watched that tonight, and I'm like, we shouldn't be, but I think we will be. It was so bad tonight that I think if you have a couple more of them on the bounce, I would not be surprised if our esteemed owner was to make a change, because that's how bad it was. That was like absolutely pathetic in every single facet. It was absolutely pathetic. So that's down now to Omar Risa and the coaches. They've got to get that across to the players, whilst also trying to build a bit of confidence for the game on Saturday and get them tactically ready and all the things that come with preparing for a game. It's like, what do? Do they go full hog with the hairdryer and they get them in running tomorrow morning? Or do they go the other way and try and like put an arm around them and say, look, it's a bad day, let's just move on with it? I think it was so bad that you have to make a point, and the next the next game on Saturday, the next 11 has to be different. You can't pick the same 11 to what went out tonight. But we do see it so often with these managers of all clubs, and I'm not just Cardiff managers, where when they have that type of performance, the next game they will pick the same 11 to almost say, go and show us what you're really about, go and prove a point. But that was real bad. Like, yeah, even Josh Bowler looked half decent. He should have scored, actually, at least one. But yeah, look, I'll never understand the lack of urgency, like just to move the ball quicker. We just let teams get really, set for us. 18s and the 23s are flying. The first team is not. And they look devoid of confidence. Without Tanner, we look devoid of any sort of pace. And is that like, do you have to give Reindorf a start? Like, I didn't know that he's done particularly much off the bench, but it gives you a bit of pace and a bit of energy. I think too many players are comfortable. Like, I really do. I think that's a big issue. I thought it was an issue with Ruben going into the Coventry game, where he felt like even if it was subconsciously, he felt like he was going to start all the time. I think NG's definitely got a dose of that. I think there's a couple of others, like you need to freshen it up because it was bad. That was like real bad tonight. Graham says, forget managers, players. It's Tan needs to go. Nothing's changed for about 10 years. Yeah, mate, this is what it is, isn't it? Till one of us wins the Euro Millions, we're stuck with it. James says, Mate's poor. Colwell, Tanner, inconsistent. NG, awful this year. We don't have a fixed left back. Our keeper's a decent shot stopper, but nothing amazing. I think, and I've said this a lot, I think there's a makings of a good squad if you mix in some of the talented youngsters in with it. But at the club as a whole's refusal to give some of the 23s time off the bench or the odd start here and then, and to actually see if they can do anything. Can they do better than what we see? Because I look at that tonight and you just cannot tell me that the under 23s would have been any worse against Preston, because Preston are absolutely dire and they beat us 2-0 comfortably because we were so bad. So this is an interesting one because I've had a couple of messages about Willock this evening from different people. Jonathan says, I can't see why Mate keeps getting in ahead of Willock. Yeah, he had a deflected goal versus Coventry, but other than that, he offers nothing. So I controversially think if you're going to play Mate, I'd play him through the middle, even though he can't finish because his link-up play is good. And if he's got the right attitude on the day, he will work hard. So, because his link-up play is good, I think he offers way more through the middle than he does out wide. Because I just don't see him as a winger. He can't beat a man. He can't cross the ball. So what's the point in having him wide? However, I've been really disappointed with Willock. He's not been the player I thought he was going to be for us. I thought he was going to be like that creative player who could do some real good stuff. So what do you do? It'll be interesting now because, look, if he hasn't got any money to spend and he's only got a limited amount of loans, you've got to look at what you've got under contract and where they are. So you've got Raheem Conte, you've got Joel Colwell, you've got Simic. They're all Cardiff City players. Do they make the squad better? Don't know. It's so frustrating because it's yet another very, very winnable game that we have just not turned up for. And I do think, whilst I've mentioned tactically, I thought there's certain things that I think Rhys has got to sort out. I think tonight's on the players, me, because I thought there was 8, 9 of them who just were not at it at all. Bad attitudes, lack of desire. Like, the bare minimum should be to like run around and play for the shirt, play for the fans. And there was too many of them who just walking. Like I said, like when you got the club captain throws the ball directly to Preston in their half, they go on the break. He's only been on 10 minutes and he's like jogging back, not busting a gut to get back from his mistake. I thought El Ghazi did all right. And I think O'Dowda did all right. And I think Robertson was good. Outside that, I'm struggling. I do think I thought Begum was okay. Like, he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. Whereas I thought Chambers, Gutas, Alnwick, NG, Irina Motor was good as well. Colwell, Robinson, and Matey were pretty bad. And Rawls, I thought were all pretty terrible. Like, really, all of them players that I just mentioned could be dropped. And I don't think any one of them could have a complaint. Like, you could hopefully bring Tanner back in, Siopis back in. But is the better option now, because that was terrible, is the better option to either go 3 at the back and play with O'Dowda as your left wing back, or Giles as your left wing back, and Pacquiao or someone on the right, or O'Dowda or whatever, and like go like with that and play Fish, Darland, and whoever, and give those. We got like 3-4 really, really, really talented fullbacks in the 23s who are like super highly rated. Let's give them a go, because Perry NG needs competition. So we need to find a way to give him competition, whether that's saying to Rena Moto, right, you're going to play right back for the rest of the season and you two fight it out for right back. Or you say to Pacquiao, right, this is your chance. You're starting. You're right back. Go show us what you can do. Because I tell you something, right? If the likes of Giles, Pacquiao, Lawler, all these different players, twos, Reindorf, if they get a regular start, like if they get a couple of starts in that team, in the first team, they will put a lot of those players tonight to shame with their effort and their desire and just the energy levels and the wanting to actually win the match, like, and play for the badge. I get it. Like, we can be shit. I'm all right with being shit. Been shit for a long time. Been shit before and we'll be shit again. I'm all right with that. I just cannot fathom and I cannot excuse lack of desire and lack of effort. And there was just too many of them were dreadful tonight. Lewis says, guaranteed Perry NG start on the weekend. Yeah, mate. That's the exact point I'm just making. And it's not necessarily like, I'm not just like solely criticizing him. I'm saying like he needs competition to get the best out of him. Because sometimes it can be like a subconscious thing. He knows he's going to play every minute of every game when he's not suspended. So we've got to do something different. Jonathan says, nobody even giving options on a throw-in, even Bagan and NG were looking around like, where's the support? Even before Rawls gave a ball away. Mate, it's frustrating. I've already done longer than I said I was going to do. I've been on best behaviour, though, I've got to be fair. Vincent says, it's bad, no shape. Mate had the ball passed to him, chested it to the Preston player, rubbish. Preston were bad and we couldn't beat them. We looked lacking in ideas, mate, didn't we? Right, let's see what else we got. Jonathan says, Reindorf actually showed some energy tonight, to be fair to him. One of the few positives to take. Yeah, look, I will not criticise any of the young players. Like, I don't know what he was supposed to do. Josh says, O'Dowda, the only decent human being in that team, given 100%, even decent enough to acknowledge the fans at the end. I applauded him. The rest can do one. Yeah, and this is the problem: is people are going to get more and more pissed off, and a couple more of those type of performances, and it's going to get real toxic real quick because it was that bad. Like, that was terrible. Jonathan says, where's it gone? NG very comfortable. Conte went out on loan. Pacquiao hasn't been great in the 21s, and this is the problem: is he's just got no competition. It's just weird though, because when he was suspended, Rinamoto did a good job at right back. But you've got Davis, you've got Giles, you've got Pacquiao, 3 very, very good young fullbacks in the 23s, 18s and stuff. And then you've also got Dylan Lawler, who's playing centre back. He's phenomenal. Maybe he could do a job at right back. Like, for me, we've yeah, it's a weird one. Richard says, if we get a decent fee in January, we should sell Colwell. Well, I don't agree with that, mate, simply because if we sell him, we got nothing. But I agree, like, the consistency which he had found has gone for whatever reason. Someone earlier mentioned that he hasn't been the same since the Wales camp, but whatever reason, that consistency that he was finding has gone. I just like, my thing with Ruben, and even tonight, like, I thought he was really poor, but like, the lack of movement off the ball is like, there's only so much you can do as an individual. Your teammates have got to be an option. They've got to give you support. And too many of those players tonight weren't helping their teammates out. Like, apart from the fact that I said earlier, they weren't playing for the badge, they weren't, no desire. Like, just simple pass and move, be available for your teammate, give your teammate options. Too many hiding behind their marker. And you go back and watch that game, and you watch how many times we have the ball in the back four or in the midfield, and I bet you will notice it, like, players hiding so they don't have to receive the ball. I hate it. Really hate it. And it's something which you see players do a lot when they're like lacking a bit of confidence or the game's not going their way. And instead of trying to like take the game by the scruff of the neck and influence it, they hide. And I got no time for that. But we shall see. We shall see. It's going to be interesting. I understand, like, there's frustration, emotion, but that was bad, and it is what it is. I will be back tomorrow evening for the breakdown, where I'll be a bit more relaxed, and I'll rewatch the game tomorrow at some point, and we'll have a look at some of the stats and stuff, and we'll see if we can find some positives, some player ratings. Yeah, one watch was too many. You're right there, mate. Jesus. Let's have a look what Josh is saying. That looks like an interesting one. About 55 minutes in, SIE made 3 changes, brought on 2 inverted wingers. We had no width for the next 30 minutes. Any manager with some sense would acknowledge we needed to stretch the line, move them about, make it difficult, and instead he persisted with 1 striker and 2 inverted wingers. Yeah, inverted wingers, mate. Me and Rhys, like, it's been our pet hate for like the last 2 years or something, is inverted wingers. It just does my head in because we never put the ball in the box. Do you notice at the end then we never put crosses in the box? The only one who did was El Ghazi, and there was no one in the box because no one expected us to put the ball in the box. Painful. I think you should all watch it again tomorrow with me. We'll do a watch along. Instead of doing a show tomorrow night, we'll watch that game again from start to finish. Welcome to the new members that came in this evening. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, mate. Welcome aboard. We got some good content actually coming for the members. We're going to do some retro watch-alongs, and I'm hoping, like, so we might do, because I can't talk about that game no more. we'll do some retro watch-alongs, and I'm gonna get maybe some of the players who played in those games to join us as a guest, and like we'll do like some retro watch-alongs and chat about the the music and stuff that was about what we was doing in that, and all that sort of stuff. So it'd be good though. Good. Members only. If you want to join, you can join either through Cardiff City World YouTube channel, or you can join through patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Price of a coffee per month. You get a members only show every week. You get early access to the pre-recorded videos. You get early access to the live event videos, and you also get 24 hours early access to the live events that we put on. And I can tell you that next year we are putting on some events. There's some City Legend ones, there's some football ones, and there's might even be a 125th anniversary one. But you never know. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you joining me so late this Wednesday evening. I know we're all frustrated. I know we're all emotional. I'll be back tomorrow. Please do join us. Make sure you subscribe to all that good stuff. But most of all, keep the faith. It can only get better. Swagger down the street.